Derren strolled into the armory, whistling to himself as he glanced over the selection of firearms. Behind him stood Caleb, Argoz, and Evelyn, three very different students, all about to get their first taste of Derren's unique training style. "All right, rookies," Derren said, turning to face them. "Today's lesson is simple. Bang sticks go boom. Questions?" Argoz frowned. "Why would a stick go boom?" Derren sighed. "Oh, we're starting at rock bottom, huh?" Derren's gaze landed on Caleb first. "You ever shoot before?" Caleb nodded. "Yeah, I used to hunt with my dad." Derren raised an eyebrow. "What's your weapon of choice?" Caleb shrugged. "Rifle. Bolt action, mostly. Good for precision shots." Derren grinned. "Cool, so you're not completely useless." Caleb smirked. "Neither are you, apparently." Derren snorted. "All right, hotshot, I'll set you up with something familiar later. Next." Derren turned to Argoz, who was eyeing the wall of weapons like someone trying to decipher an ancient text. "Ever handled a gun before?" Argoz shook her head. "Never. Merc Dust doesn't have these metal death sticks." Derren blinked. "Metal?" He shook his head. "Okay, so you're starting from scratch. Cool, cool." He grabbed a simple 9mm handgun from the rack and held it out. "Try this. Basic, small, good starter piece." Argoz took it like it was a dead rat. She held it between two fingers, inspecting it with deep suspicion. "How does this thing even work? It doesn't have a blade, or runes, or poison." Derren pinched the bridge of his nose. "Oh my God." Caleb, chuckling, reached over and adjusted her grip. "You hold it like this, not like it's a cursed artifact." Argoz grumbled, but at least now she was holding it somewhat correctly. "It still seems unnecessarily complicated," Derren muttered. "Yeah, welcome to my life." Derren turned to Evelyn last. He eyed her up and down before sighing. "Let me guess. You've never shot a gun before in your life." Evelyn shrugged. "Why would I?" "I have magic." Derren rolled his eyes. "Oh, great. We've got a wand waver in the house." Evelyn's expression flattened. "Excuse me?" Derren crossed his arms. "Look, I get it. You probably think you're too good for a firearm. Just wave your hands, say some spooky words, and boom. Problem solved, right?" Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "I mean, yeah," Derren snorted. "Right. So what? You'd rather flick your wand at someone? Or maybe you ride in on your broomstick and run 'em over?" The room went dead silent. Caleb winced. Argoz, still fumbling with her pistol, froze. Evelyn's smile was slow, dangerous. "Oh? So that's what you think witches are like?" Derren hesitated. "I mean, yeah. Isn't that—" Caleb, under his breath. "Oh, you messed up." Evelyn took a step closer, arms crossed. "You think I'm some broom-riding, green-skinned hag from the Wizard of Oz?" Derren blinked. "Wait, was that not—" Evelyn threw up her hands. "Are you kidding me? That is the dumbest stereotype I've ever heard." "Hey, I don't know. You're the first witch I've met that wasn't trying to kill me." Evelyn's brow twitched. "Well, Derren, allow me to correct your ignorance." She flicked her fingers toward the range. A nearby training target exploded into flames, disintegrating into ash in less than 2 seconds. Derren's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. Caleb smirked. "Yeah, she does that." Derren turned back to Evelyn, slowly nodding. Okay. That was impressive. And also terrifying. Good to know." Evelyn huffed, arms crossed. "Next time, think before you make dumbass comments." Derren held up his hands in surrender. Lesson learned. Caleb stepped in, placing a hand on Evelyn's shoulder. "All right, let's all relax. Derren, just find her something that works for her. Evelyn, no more fireballs indoors, please." Evelyn rolled her eyes, but the tension eased. "Fine." Derren muttering, "Man, I really thought witches rode brooms." Evelyn gasped dramatically. "Say it again, and I will hex you." Argoz, still holding the gun like it was a cursed artifact. "So, where's the safety on this thing?" Derren groaned. Oh, this is going to be a long day. The sky was clear, the air crisp. And Derren had a headache already. Standing on the firing line, he gestured to the targets lined up downrange. All right, rookies, it's time to see what you can do. Derren handed Caleb a sleek, well-maintained Enchanted M4 with a standard magazine. Figured you'd want something that feels familiar. Caleb tested the weight, checked the sights, and pulled the bolt back with ease. Yeah, this'll do. Derren grinned. Good, now don't embarrass yourself. Caleb raised the rifle, exhaled slowly. Tap, tap, tap. 3 clean shots, 3 headshots. Derren nodded approvingly. Okay, hunter boy, you're not useless. Caleb smirked. Neither are you. Apparently. Derren snorted. Keep talking, pretty boy. Let's see if the others do as well. Next up was Argoz. She was still holding the pistol like it was an unfamiliar piece of alien tech. All right, Goblin, let's see what you've got. Argoz hesitated. What's the spell to make it fire? Derren blinked. It's called pulling the trigger. Argoz squinted. So, no incantation? Derren groaned. No, just, hold it properly. Finger on the trigger. Look down the sights. Pull. Argoz nodded, looking extremely serious. She lifted the pistol, aimed carefully, and jerked the trigger so hard she nearly dropped the gun. The shot went wide. The recoil sent her stumbling back. Argoz blinked at the gun. It fought back. Derren dragged a hand down his face. This is gonna be a long day. Finally, it was Evelyn's turn. Derren handed her a lightweight SMG. Something easy, point and shoot. Evelyn looked at it like it was a dead fish. This is ridiculous. No, what's ridiculous, Derren muttered, is the fact that you still think you don't need this. Evelyn sighed dramatically. Fine, let's get this over with. She raised the weapon, aimed, then hesitated. Something felt off. Her fingers curled around the trigger, but it felt unnatural. What's wrong? Your magic hand's not working. Derren grinned. Evelyn exhaled sharply. I'm used to channeling energy, not whatever this is. Welcome to the real world, sweetheart. Oh, shut up. She pulled the trigger. The SMG kicked, rattling off rounds downrange. The spread was wild. She hit a target. Kind of. Derren whistled. Wow, those poor innocent walls never saw it coming. Evelyn's eye twitched. Oh, you want me to hit a target? She raised her free hand. A bolt of arcane fire shot out, hitting the dead center of a target and completely disintegrating it. The range went silent. Derren blinked. Caleb smirked. Yeah, she does that. Evelyn crossed her arms. See? Who needs a gun? Derren sighed. You do, because I'm not letting you incinerate every problem. Now stop being difficult and shoot it again. Evelyn grumbled but complied. Derren stepped back, hands on his hips. All right, not the worst first round. Caleb, you're solid. Argoz, you need work. Evelyn, he smirked. Try not to burn the place down, yeah? Evelyn rolled her eyes. No promises. Argoz was still staring at the gun. So, how do I make sure it doesn't fight back? Derren groaned. Oh, we're going to be here all day. The sound of gunfire and frustrated groaning echoed across the range as Argoz nearly dropped her pistol for the 3rd time. Derren, standing nearby, dragged a hand down his face. By the gods, how do you survive in murk dust without accidentally killing yourself? Argoz scowled. We use swords, not tiny metal explosions. Derren muttered something about needing a raise. Nearby, Evelyn fired her SMG again. This time the shots were a little better but still scattered. She huffed, clearly unimpressed. That's when Desera appeared, watching with arms crossed, shaking her head. Derren, remind me again why we trust you to teach people. Derren grinned. Because I make it entertaining. Desera rolled her eyes. Then she turned to Evelyn. Come with me. You and I need to have a chat. Evelyn followed Desera to a quieter part of the range, eyeing her warily. If this is another attempt to tell me why I need a gun, I swear to— No, Desera interrupted. This is about endurance. Evelyn frowned slightly. What about it? Desera leaned against a crate, arms crossed. Can you maintain your magic for an extended fight without exhausting yourself? Evelyn hesitated. That hesitation was enough. Desera nodded knowingly. Thought so. Magic burns energy, your energy. The stronger the spells, the more stamina it drains. You ever been in a prolonged fight? Evelyn exhaled sharply. Yes. And, yeah, it wears me down, but I manage. Managing and surviving are different things, Desera pointed out. The thing about a gun, it doesn't drain you. It's a tool, like a backup generator when your magic starts to run low. Evelyn was quiet. She hated to admit it, but Desera had a point. You can aim magic, right? Desera continued. Evelyn nodded. Then a firearm works the same way. You're channeling force, just in a different form. Close quarters. This SMG is reliable. Distance? Your magic gives you the edge. Evelyn studied the weapon in her hands, brow furrowed. You're saying, use both? Exactly. Desera gave a small smirk. A smart fighter doesn't rely on just one trick. Evelyn sighed, rolling her shoulders. Fine, let's try this your way. Desera nodded. Good. Now let's fix your stance before you embarrass yourself. Meanwhile, Derren and Caleb were still struggling with Argoz. She held the pistol like it was going to bite her. Okay, Caleb said patiently. You need to stop acting like it's a venomous snake. But it is dangerous, Argoz protested. So is a sword. So is magic. You just need to respect it, not fear it, Caleb reasoned. Derren sighed dramatically. For the love of... just watch. He pulled his sidearm, fired 2 quick shots, both sent a mass on the target. See? Easy. Now just... Argoz gripped the pistol properly, braced herself. And fired. The shot actually hit the target. Barely. Argoz squinted. Did I get it? Caleb grinned. You hit the edge. That's a start. Derren nodded, smirking. See? Only took you 5 tries. Argoz scowled. You are very lucky I like you. Oh, I know. Caleb is fully comfortable. His enchanted M4 is a natural fit. Argoz is struggling, but improving. Slowly. Evelyn is starting to see the tactical advantage of using both magic and firearms. Desera keeps things focused and professional, balancing out Derren's sarcasm. Derren grinned, watching the group finally start to get the hang of things. All right, rookies, let's try not to get shot in the next fight, yeah? Evelyn rolled her eyes. You make it really hard not to hex you, you know that. Derren smirked. Yeah, but that's what makes it fun. Caleb just shook his head. This is going to be one hell of a team. Derren dragged a crate across the floor, popping it open with his boot. Inside, lightweight body armor gleamed under the fluorescent lights. All right, kids, time to suit up. He tossed a vest toward Caleb first, who caught it easily. Standard Echo Division loadout, lightweight, reinforced, and enchanted to take more of a hit than it looks. Caleb nodded, already slipping it on. Makes sense. I'll be up in the turret. I'll take all the protection I can get. Derren grinned. Smart man. See, this is why I don't have to yell at you. Derren turned to Argoz, tossing a vest her way. She caught it, frowning instantly. This is too bulky. Derren rolled his eyes. It's lightweight. It's the least bulky thing we've got. Argoz scowled, adjusting it. I can't move properly in this. What's wrong with my leather armor? Derren deadpanned. It's old. And smells. Argoz huffed. It does not. Goblin, I swear to every god out there that thing smells like a damp cave, which, let me guess, is exactly where you got it. Argoz crossed her arms stubbornly. It's flexible. It doesn't restrict me. Derren sighed. All right, fine. Let's find a compromise before you start whining. After digging through gear, they found a custom lightweight chest plate with reinforced sleeves, allowing Argoz to keep her mobility while still having some protection. She tested her movement, nodded. Acceptable. Derren grinned. Glad we could find something that doesn't smell like goblin feet. Argoz glared. Derren turned to Evelyn, tossing a vest her way. She caught it, held it up, and immediately shook her head. Nope, not happening. Derren groaned. What now? Evelyn shrugged. Not my style. Too restrictive. She walked past him, rummaging through another gear crate, pulling out a black leather jumpsuit. This'll do. Derren stared. That's not armor, that's fashion. Evelyn smirked. It will be once I enchant it. Derren pinched the bridge of his nose. Fine, whatever. If you get shot, don't come crying to me. Evelyn grinned. If I get shot, I'll just hex the poor bastard who did it. Caleb is fully armoured. He understands protection is necessary, especially in the turret. Argoz gets a customised set. More mobility, but still armoured. Evelyn refuses standard gear, finds her own solution with enchantments. Derren somehow keeps his sanity intact. Derren crossed his arms, nodding. All right. You're all geared up. Try not to die in your first fight, yeah? Caleb smirked. No promises. Argoz adjusted her armour. This still feels weird. Derren patted her shoulder. Don't worry, you'll get used to it right about the time someone tries to stab you in the gut. Evelyn grinned. Comforting. Derren chuckled. Oh, sweetheart, I'm full of comfort. The door swung open and Rose strolled in, hands in her pockets. Her eyes scanned the room. Caleb stood there, fully geared, looking the part. Evelyn adjusted her enchanted leather jumpsuit, still looking mildly annoyed. Argoz was fidgeting in her modified armour, scowling like someone had just forced her into a corset. And then there was Derren, looking far too pleased with himself. Rose let out a slow exhale, shaking her head. Wow, you look like a team now, or at least 2/3 of 1 inch. She walked up to Caleb first, giving him an approving nod. Not bad, golden boy, you actually look like you belong here. Caleb smirked. Appreciate that, boss. Then she turned to Evelyn and Argoz. And then there's you two. Evelyn rolled her eyes. Oh, here we go. Rose took in the sight of them. Argoz looks like she got dragged through a scrapyard. And Evelyn. Well, I guess if we ever need to attend a Gothic leather convention, you're all set. Evelyn crossed her arms. It's enchanted. Rose grinned. Uh-huh, sure it is. Argoz muttered. My old armour smelled just fine. Derren snorted. Yeah, if you enjoy the fine scent of fermented goblin swamp. Argoz glared. I will stab you. Derren winked. You can try. Rose turned to Derren, smirking. You actually got them suited up. I'm shocked. I figured by now one of them would have hexed you, shot you, or, in Argoz's case, tried to strangle you. Derren leaned against a nearby crate, arms crossed. Oh, sweetheart, they wanted to, but lucky for them, I'm too damn charming to kill. Rose snorted. Charming? That's an interesting way to describe mildly tolerable at best. Derren grinned. Funny? That's exactly how I describe you. Rose arched a brow. I've been called worse by better. Oh, I know, that's why I don't try too hard. Caleb, watching this back and forth, muttered to Evelyn. Is this how they flirt? Evelyn whispered back, I don't want to know. Argoz muttered, adjusting her armour. This is painful to watch. Rose sighed, looking back at her team. All right. At least you all look the part. Try not to die before we actually do something useful. Derren grinned. Oh, boss, you do care. Rose rolled her eyes. If you get yourself killed, I have to find someone else to annoy me. That sounds exhausting. Derren chuckled. Admit it, you'd miss me? Rose, already walking toward the door, called back over her shoulder. Like I'd miss a bad hangover. Derren snapped his fingers, turning to Caleb. Damn, that was good. Almost like she rehearsed it. Caleb just shook his head. You're lucky she didn't hit you. Derren grinned. Oh, she's saving that for later. The room was dimly lit, cluttered with reports, maps, and ammunition schematics. Gunnar sat at his desk, one hand resting on his cybernetic arm, the other rubbing his temple. The hollow screen flickered in front of him, displaying Sophia's familiar calm but calculating expression. You're getting reinforcements. Gunnar exhaled slowly. How many? Sophia leaned forward. Enough. I'm sending a full operations team to reinforce your facility. Combat specialists, tech support, logistics, everything you'll need to keep this war from turning into a one-sided slaughter. Gunnar grunted. Took you long enough. Sophia narrowed her eyes. You're not the only war effort I'm dealing with, Gunnar. Be grateful you're getting priority support. Gunnar didn't argue, because for once she was right. Fine. Send them as soon as possible. We need them yesterday. Sophia nodded. They're en route. Expect boots on the ground within the next 48 hours. Make sure your people are ready to integrate them. We'll be ready, Gunnar muttered. We always are. Before Sophia could respond, the door to his office swung open. Clara and Eli strode in, both looking like they had just walked off a battlefield. Omega padded in silently behind Clara, his golden eyes sharp and alert. Gunnar glanced up, his expression shifting. Looks like I've got more news coming my way. Sophia raised a brow. I'll let you deal with that. But Gunnar... She paused, her voice lowering slightly. Watch your back. The screen flickered off. Gunnar leaned back in his chair, watching as Clara and Eli moved closer. You two look like you've seen some tea. Eli smirked slightly. Oh, you have no idea. Clara was still in her ceremonial elven armor, and for the first time Gunnar could see the weight in her eyes. Eli, standing beside her, crossed her arms, her silver hair falling over her shoulder. You did it, Gunnar. Gunnar arched a brow. Did what? Clara let out a short exhale, shaking her head. You shook Alfheim to its damn core. Silence hung in the room. Gunnar tilted his head. Explain. Eli's violet eyes gleamed. The High Council is mobilizing. You didn't just piss them off, you forced their hand. The warriors of Alfheim are demanding action, and now the Council can't ignore them anymore. Gunnar's cybernetic fingers drummed against his desk. How bad was it? Clara snorted. Oh, it was ugly. The rank and file, hell, even some officers, started openly questioning the Council's inaction. They saw Erendil's death, heard your words, and realized they were watching a war from the sidelines. Eli nodded. It got to the point where even the Guardians couldn't keep the peace. The Council had no choice. They're sending troops, resources, spellcasters. They're establishing a permanent foothold to assist Echo Division. A long silence. Gunnar sighed, rubbing his face. Took them long enough. Clara watched him carefully. You don't look as thrilled as I thought you'd be. Gunnar exhaled sharply. Because I'm tired, Clara. I'm tired of watching people die before the ones in charge decide to move. I've seen it too many times. Too many wars, too many bodies left behind. I don't celebrate delays. I just hope it's not too damn late. Omega let out a low whine, sensing Gunnar's frustration. Clara nodded slowly. It's not too late. Gunnar looked up, his blue eyes sharp. We'll see.